Hello, and welcome, my friends, to another episode of Me, Mom, and Dad. It is September. Yes, can you believe it? Seems like yesterday was the 4th of July, and now it's September. Trying to go into fall, please. It's a bit hot today, but fall temperatures are coming, and it's our favorite time of the year, right? So I'll be bringing out some great fall recipes. Me, Mom, and Dad. To any new listeners, Me, Mom, and Dad started with me, my mom, and dad. My dad was diagnosed with Parkinson some years ago, and my mom and my dad and myself, we started this podcast sharing the positive things we learned going through his Parkinson's challenges and the good things we learned. We wanted to share, and we started a podcast 7 or 8 years ago. And we continue. And from that, from starting the podcast, we started sharing recipes and the joy of being with family, how cooking brings people together. So that's how we started, with the joy and the recipes. And so today I will start with the recipes, and then on the podcast I share with the Parkinson's community, talking about things. So since fall is coming, through the summer I shared on the previous episodes, I shared cooking outside on the grill through the summer. But now that we're feeling autumn and fall coming, I'm going to share some inside recipes, some comfort food. So let's start. My mom and I did this recipe some weeks ago. It's chicken and stuffing casserole. It's a quick weekly recipe. And since, it's not Thanksgiving, but it's a chicken. It's not stuffing, so not turkey, but chicken and stuffing casserole. So here it is, friends. You will need, it's so simple. You'll need cream of chicken soup, and some milk. What am I missing? And some milk. I lost part of my recipe that I'm looking for. And some milk. Pretty much that's it. So you will need a casserole dish, a 9 by 13 inch casserole dish. And I used chicken breasts, but you can use any parts, the thighs but I used chicken breasts. And it says to place your chicken breasts in the pan, but I pre-cooked the chicken breasts. I found that the chicken breasts could be cooked a little more. So take your chicken breasts, season them with kosher salt and pepper, and put them under the broiler for 25 minutes. Salt and pepper, put them under the broiler and let them pre-cook. Or you can saute the chicken breasts, or you can broil them. But I like to sit them to be quick. But again, you can just place them in the casserole dish as you're cooking it. But I found that the chicken was much better. So either way. So you will take your 9 by 13, or even a smaller casserole. It's just me and my mom. Today, my dad passed away few years ago, and I use like a 8 by 8 of the smaller casserole dish. That works too. So you will spray your casserole dish, spray it with the Pam or your oil, and even the butter works. But I spray it with Pam because I like this recipe to be a weekly quick recipe. So spray with the Pam your dish. Place your chicken. I've pre-cooked my chicken breast. Place in the pan. And you've seasoned it. You're going to mix, you're going to whisk together cream of chicken soup and a cup of milk. I like to use half and half. You can use two. My mom is acid reflux, so you can use 2%. It works too. Or whole milk. Whole milk or 2% or half and half. It all works. Like a cup of, you whisk together your cream of chicken soup and your milk together in a bowl. And you set the milk aside. Place your chicken in your casserole dish. Spread the soup mixture over the chicken. Then you take your stuffing, like the Petrus Farm bag of stuffing. I say Petrus Farm because that's what we always grab. You will sprinkle the stuffing mix on top of the drizzle chicken. Okay. Then you will drizzle chicken broth, about a cup of chicken broth. Take your chicken broth and pour over the stuffing mix. Put it in the oven on 350. Bake for 30 minutes covered with foil. After 30 minutes, maybe 35-ish minutes, uncover your dish and cook uncovered for 15 minutes. Okay? Whisk together. Going back over in case I went too fast. Sometimes my friends say I go too fast with the recipes. Whisk together cream of chicken soup mix and your milk, cup of milk. And I didn't mention in the beginning that you do need some chicken broth and a bag of Petrus Farm. I say Petrus Farm, but the bag of stuffing, not Tove Stop stuffing. I mean, I guess you could use that, but just a bag of Petrus Farm stuffing. I believe this recipe is on the back of one of those bags too, but here it is. So you've placed your chicken in there. You pour in the dish, pour your milk mixture, cream of chicken soup on top of the chicken. Then pour your stuffing on top of the milk and chicken. And then pour your chicken broth on top of everything. About a cup of chicken broth. Now, if you're a cook, you'll look at everything and you'll all eyeball it and go, "Hey, I think I need a little more chicken broth." But I would say about a cup of chicken broth. 350 degrees. Bake it for 30 to 35 minutes. Covered with foil. Then uncover and cook additional 15 minutes until bubbly and brown. You're welcome. Cream, chicken, and stuffing casserole. We share these recipes because I've mentioned many times before, to keep my dad happy and joyful, we family members and friends and family members always came around, and it just kept his spirits up with going through the challenges of Parkinson's, and that's how we started sharing these recipes. The symptoms sometimes of Parkinson's can be depression, and we conquered that depression by just my brother, my sister, and all friends who are adopted family members. We just came around, and we were always in the kitchen cooking. And previous episodes, we have recordings of my brother, my sister, and all my adopted brothers and sisters in the kitchen shooting the breeze, teasing each other, and that's how we started sharing these recipes. Yes, next recipe. I did this not too long ago. It is creamy paprika steak shells. So good, y'all. This is kind of Louisiana-ishy recipe. and it is good. What you will need is the ingredients is a 12-ounce shell box. You know, the pasta shells, the little seashell looking shell pasta. 1 pound of sirloin or ribeye cut into bite size. Pound of steak. 1 pound of steak. Sirloin or ribeye cut into bite sized pieces. Salt and pepper, the steak bites. Olive oil, about a tablespoon of olive oil, about a tablespoon of butter. 3 garlic cloves mixed. 1.5 teaspoon of smoked paprika. Now I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't have any smoked paprika. I had the regular, and it was still good. But if you see the smoked paprika, 1 cup of heavy cream, half cup of beef broth, half cup of grated Parmesan cheese, chopped fresh parsley to garnish. So you're gonna cook your shell pasta in salted water. And by the way, you're supposed to let the water boil first, then add your salt. I know we've all been doing it wrong, but I've been trying to do it that way lately. And it does, it salts the water better. Okay, so let the water boil, then put your salt in. I use kosher salt. Drain and set aside your pasta. Season steak bites with salt and pepper and the paprika. Heat your olive oil in a large skillet over medium-high heat. Sear the steak bites for 2 to 3 minutes. Let them get nice and brown and set aside. Remove and set aside. Reduce heat to medium. Melt your butter in the same skillet that the beef was in. And add add your garlic for 1 minute. Don't let your garlic burn. Put it in the butter, like a minute. Pour in your heavy cream into the garlic and your beef broth, stirring to combine. This is a good recipe, you guys, and it tastes so good. Simmer for 3 to 4 minutes until slightly thickened. Stir in Parmesan cheese until melted and the sauce is creamy. Add the cooked shells and steak back into the skillet. Toss everything evenly. You guys, this is a tasty recipe and it's easy. It's quick, just like that. You're welcome. Creamy paprika steak shells. Last recipe, beefy noodle casserole. What? Fall is coming. Easy beefy noodle casserole. So this beef casserole is with ground beef. And it's in a rich tomato sauce tossed with egg noodles. Okay, so you need 12 ounces of egg noodles uncooked, 2 teaspoons of olive oil, 1.25 pounds of lean ground beef. Now it says lean, but let's be honest. I use maybe 80-20. Okay, like 80% lean, 20% fat. Because all us cooks know that little bit of fat is good. So the recipe says lean, but you need some of that fat. So when you see the package with a 20% or so fat, that's always good. Okay, so back to 1/4 lean ground beef, 1 onion finely chopped, 2 teaspoons of minced garlic, salt and pepper to taste, 16 ounces canned tomato sauce, 15-ounce can of diced tomatoes drained. Now it says diced tomatoes. I like to use petite diced tomatoes. So the can should say petite. To me, it's always better. You might like, if you just see diced tomatoes, that'll work too. But the petite diced tomatoes, it makes a difference for me. 2 teaspoons of Italian seasonings, 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese, 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley. So, here you go. You bring a pot of salted water to boil. Let it boil, then add your salt. Add the egg noodles and cook after the boiling has started, according to the package. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees. While the noodles are cooking, heat the olive oil in a large pan over medium heat. Add the ground beef to the pan and cook for 4 to 5 minutes till your ground beef is brown. Breaking up the meat with a spatula. Add the onion and the garlic to the pan and cook for additional 5 minutes or until onion has softened and beef is cooked through. Season with salt and pepper to taste. Add the tomato sauce. Then your tomatoes, your petite diced tomatoes, and your Italian seasoning to the beef and stir to combine. Drain the noodles and add to the pan with the beef tossed to combine. Pour the beef and noodles into noodle mixture into a 9x13. There's that 9x13 baking pan that's been coated in cooking spray. Top with cheddar cheese. What? Fall is coming. Bake for 10 to 15 minutes or until cheese is melted. Sprinkle with parsley and serve. Recipes. That's all we're doing is cooking. My dad is not with us anymore, but I feel his spirit all the time watching over us and smiling over us, my mom and I. And that's how I always share with the Parkinson's community. I sound like a broken record on all the episodes. We started this podcast because my dad was a little petite guy, but how he lived a fruitful life with Parkinson's was he always worked out. When he first got diagnosed and the symptoms started to creep in, and we got him. He always went to the gym, but he was starting to get a little depressed, so we hooked him up at first at the Y with the what do you call that, physical therapist? Not a physical therapist. What do you call it? The person that personal trainer, and she had some knowledge of Parkinson's, and she really got him. He always worked out, but he was in the beginning starting to get depressed, and he got with her, and he just came alive, and he went back, kept going to the gym, and his joy came back working with her. The neurologist said at first, with Parkinson's, he was going to lose his coordination. And she knew all that, the personal trainer. And she got him going, throwing the ball. And she just got him moving. At first, he was a bit annoyed going with her. And then he just fell in love with her. He felt better. He walked better. He had more energy and joy. And the doctor, after months, realized his coordination was coming back, and he was walking better. Sometimes Parkinson's patients can walk with just their arms stiff to the sides, and he was walking more normal. And that's how we started the podcast, because we learned some positive things about trying to just push through the challenges of Parkinson's. And working out was the key. It is the key, my friends. It's not easy. Like I said, when the symptoms came in, he just wanted to sit around. And then we were like, let's get up. It was challenging at first. So friends, try to get up and move. My mom is 89, and I'm very thankful she gets around, but we're always like, Mom, come on, let's go ride that stationary bike. And she doesn't want to do it, but she does do it. And it does keep her healthier. Let's face it, it's not easy to keep moving, but take one step and get moving. I'm talking to my Parkinson's community and anybody else, myself. We have a dog now, Sam. I can tell my dad loves Sam. Every now and again, we'll be walking and a cardinal will be sitting and watching us. And I believe that's my dad going, I love that puppy. And he gets me walking every day, and it's good. Try to get up, friends. And I have I'm members of the some of the Parkinson's communities, and I was listening to a lady talk about asking about dehydration and being dizzy a little bit with blood pressure medication. And my dad was on blood pressure medication, and he did have those challenges of being a little dizzy. And dehydration too was a problem. Now, was it because of his age? He was 87 when he passed. Was it because of his age that he got a little more dehydration? Maybe. I did read that some Parkinson's patients have some dehydration. Was it that? Was it some of his medications? Maybe a little bit of all of that. But we got him drinking a lot of water and a little bit of electrolytes like Powerade and Gatorade. And we did have to be careful with the Powerade and Gatorade because my dad had high blood pressure. So too much of that would jack up his blood pressure. So had to be careful of that. But my dad did get when he was having trouble with dehydration, especially in the summer. I was like, okay, Dad, we're gonna get on this water, and he was very cranky about it and fought me on it. And I just kept gently when I'd go in the room and wake him up, because I always went in the room in the mornings to make sure he was stable and not having any what I call wobbly legs or being having tremors. So I'd be in there every morning and I'd have a big jug of water. And he's, I don't need this water. But once he started drinking and he knew I loved him, and he'd just sit on the side of the bed, and eventually it started to be our special time. We'd be sitting and talking, and I'm talking a big gulp cup of water he would be drinking. And he stopped fighting me on it, because after one or two, three times, he knew after drinking that water, he started to feel better. It's like watering a dry plant that's drooping. You pour water on it and you go back and look, and the plant is coming alive. That water was making him come alive, and he stopped fighting me on it. So, my friends, yes, drink the water. Stay hydrated. Yeah, all of that. That's how we started this podcast. And I continue the podcast with my dad looking over us. And still like to share recipes and all that we learn. Exercise, 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 exercise is the key, my friends, to Parkinson's. And there's studies of the power just went out for like a second. Sorry about that, friends. There's studies of how moving people are running, Parkinson's patients are running marathons and all kinds of stuff. So keep moving. Continue, keep moving, 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 moving. And keeping your heads up and keeping the joy. And it's challenging, but keep your heads up, friends. Keep listening to our podcasts. We're getting more and more of listeners, and I'm so grateful. It's fun doing it. We don't have billions and millions of followers, but we enjoy doing it for the listeners that we have. So subscribe of where you are now, looking at the page. Up the top there is like a rainbow, like a Wi-Fi looking icon. You click that, and that is how you subscribe. So keep up the good work. Moving. My friends, exercise is the key. I hope you enjoy the recipes. We will keep the recipes going. And thank you so much for listening, my friends. What else? Subscribe, exercise, get up off the sofa, go outside, take a nice walk. But exercise, like we have a stationary bike that we put in the garage for my dad. And you might not feel like getting up, going out to the wire, everything, but we had that in the garage and we still have it in there. And my mom and I still use it. And my dad used it too a lot, especially when we had COVID. So find a way to take one foot in front of the other and get moving, my friends. Thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next podcast episode. Enjoy the music.